Interestingly enough, the more I see of Donald Trump, which seems to be a lot these days for unknown reasons, the more I'm convinced that he is just a total, unadulterated buffoon. And I'm sure I'm going to be talking more about his buffoonery over time, but I've got a couple of instances that I want to talk about in particular, and I'll tell you about them in just a moment. So before I start, can I just suggest to people that they subscribe to my channel, ring the bell for further notifications so that I can improve my YouTube channel and what I offer to you. So the thing about Trump is particularly about him being a buffooner. Now, him being a buffoon on many, many occasions, and we saw through his number of declarations, executive orders and so forth, during this week, that he has no idea what he's talking about. There was a piece where he was asked to sign a document which he didn't know anything about, which had to do with people that were arrested during pro-abortion rallies. Or anti-abortion rallies, so pro-life rallies they would have been. So some people were arrested, and obviously some people in the administration, mainly the far right, Bannon and others, have decided that these people should be released from jail. So he went to sign this petition, he told us, and then he started talking about it because he did not know that it was happening. So my view is that there's a whole host of people on the right who consider this a great opportunity to be able to manipulate Trump because he knows nothing. He is completely devoid of any relevant information whatsoever, had no idea what he was signing on most of those executive orders, but signed them anyway because it had a good look and it made him look good. And at the end of the day, this is all it's about. It's only about Trump, and it's about how he appears in front of the media. So lots of media coverage as a result of all the stupid things that he chooses to do. And I could list all of them, and it's been a hell of a week in terms of identifying all the things that Trump has done. But I particularly wanted to focus specifically on the crisis in Greenland and Denmark's response to that. And so I wanted to have a look at this particular article that was Denmark's in crisis mode after a horrendous phone call with Trump. I would believe that any phone call anyone has with Trump is likely to be horrendous because the man doesn't listen, he doesn't understand the circumstances, he has no sense whatsoever of the ideology, of the strategy involved in any of this stuff. He actually wants to take over countries. This is what he wants. Panama, Canada, this is his goal. And I often wonder, what would happen if he if he thought he could take over Australia? How would we respond? Well, we wouldn't be too thrilled, just like the Danes aren't. So Denmark is in crisis mode after Donald Trump made a direct play for Greenland in a horrendous phone call with the country's Prime Minister. The US President spoke to Danish Prime Minister Mette Frederiksen for 45 minutes last week and made it clear he wanted to place Greenland under American control, at which point she said bugger off. The autonomous Arctic territory has been owned by Denmark since 1814, but Trump thinks it would be a valuable asset in the United States' strategic competition against Russia and China, like he cares about Russia, probably even cares less about China for that matter. Frederiksen told him in their call last week that despite his big interest, Greenland was not for sale, the Financial Times reported. Trump then became aggressive. Why are we not surprised? According to the newspaper, and threatened to impose tariffs, which is his only weapon in his arsenal, is this notion around tariffs, which is wrong anyway. But nevertheless, this is what he pulls out every time because he's an idiot. On Denmark's unless Greenland was sold to the US. The call came after Trump refused to rule out using military force to take Greenland in a press conference on January the 7th, arguing that it was a matter of national security that the US gained an Arctic base. Now, I can't understand why the United States would not just simply negotiate. I think, someone needs to correct me, I think they already have some bases there anyway. Why does owning it mean that they can't just pay? It's only a handful, 57,000 Danish people anyway. So Why couldn't they just ensure that they buy the land to put the bases on and negotiate that? Denmark has repeatedly ruled out selling Greenland and argues that the territory's 57,000 residents should be allowed to decide their nation's political future. I'm pretty sure those people don't want to belong to the United States, particularly while Donald Trump's there. A source briefed on the call told the Financial Times that the phone call was horrendous. That was one person's view. Of course, Trump's view was he was very firm. Denmark was now in crisis over the dispute, fearing massive tariffs on exports to one of its largest trading partners. Another person briefed on the conversation. The intent was very clear. They wanted. The Danes are now in crisis mode. Frederiksen, who has held crisis talks with major Danish companies in recent days, has also described the US as Denmark's most important... Stop sucking up to him. You know? So by saying they're the most important... Do you think Trump cares? No, he doesn't give a damn. Previous attempts by the US to buy Greenland have been refuted by Copenhagen. Trump laid out his plans to take the territory earlier this month, arguing that the US needed Greenland for national security purposes. Doesn't give a shit about national security. He also said on his Truth Social platform that the nation's residents need safety, security, strength and peace. I think they've already got that. Like, they're not at war with anybody. No one's invading them. It's Greenland, for Christ's sake. They're just a hunk of ice. So what the hell is he talking about? I mean, apart from the fact they've got a lot of really important minerals. This is a deal that must happen, he said. Make Greenland great again. Yeah, sure thing. Donald Trump Jr., he visited, as we all know. Military experts say a significant presence in Greenland could give the US the upper hand in competition for control of areas of the Arctic Ocean exposed to melting sea ice. Now, I'm sure that he could probably gain that competitive edge in Greenland without necessarily it becoming a US protectorate. Last year, the Pentagon warned that Russia and China were increasingly collaborating in the Arctic in an attempt to take control of key shipping routes. However, Trump's refusal to rule out a full-scale invasion of Greenland has raised questions about the NATO alliance, in which both Denmark and the US are members. Probably the US will not be members of NATO for very much longer, which creates another issue. The Alliance Article's collective defence agreement states that a military attack on one member would result in other members declaring war on the aggressor. It's not clear what would happen if one NATO member attacked another. Well, I tell you what, it could be that they're about to find out. So what does all of this mean? Well, Trump's strategy is to find ways to be able to bully other people to get what he wants so that he can appear as important and as powerful as he possibly can. Because he has this deep, dark, infinite well that sits inside of him that must on every occasion be filled with accolades and celebration. And there's a wonderful story Stephen Baker tells about when people go to be interviewed at Mar-a-Lago. He has the interviews at 5 o'clock in an open area, so they can say to all the people that are getting ready for lunch, for tea, I guess, and they come in and he says, "Hello, this is my favourite reporter from MSNBC or from the Times or wherever they might be from," and so he makes a big deal of it, and then he leaves the meeting, goes into the eating area, and everybody who's in there gives him a standing ovation. Because for this man to be celebrated is the most important thing in the world to him. So to be able to conquer something, to bully a country such as Greenland, or Denmark in this case really, to acquiesce and give up a piece of land for him would be the greatest glory he could have. Because he needs to be celebrated. He desperately needs some wins. And, interestingly enough, he's not doing anything about cost of living, inflation, any of the things he said he was going to do in order to accumulate the votes that he needed in order to get into power. He has done nothing. First week is nothing. Absolutely nothing. Just vengeful behaviour. And if this is the way that it's going to continue in the United States for the next 4 years, Let's sit back and watch, because I can tell you now, it's going to be a lot of fun. And I'm going to enjoy it, for one. Not that anybody really cares whether I'm enjoying it or not, but I am. It's going to be a delight to watch the media struggle with notions around Trump's aggression, about his decision-making, about the people that he's selected for Secretary of Defense, for example, for FBI leader, for others. To watch them destroy the country that they believe was the greatest country on earth. So the irony in all of this is that making America great again becomes the destruction of America, not making it great again. And it's going to be a delight for those of us in the rest of the world who are just laughing at you, because you're making a mockery of the democratic system, some system that you've held up as the shining light on the hill. And it will crumble. And we will be watching and laughing without any pity for you whatsoever, because this is what you've brought upon yourselves. So let me know what you think in the comments section below. And hopefully there'll be some people that will make some really interesting comments, which will be kind of fun. In the meantime, take care, look after yourselves, and be safe.